Welcome back to Bullet Points, everyone, and happy December. Before we get into anything, I want to just apologize. Anybody that was looking forward to our November episode, it kind of got pushed back to here, the first day of December. We were going to have one in November, but something kind of came up as far as products that I was asked to do a review on. That was not proper English, and I don't care. And just we have had, for the first time in the channel's history, a full schedule. So I apologize that we didn't get a November episode out. We've got a laid back version of the show tonight, folks. We want to talk about the Second Amendment in general. We're going to do just a breakdown of what the Second Amendment says through the scope of the historical language that was used. And really, we just want to rip to shreds all these stupid arguments that the anti-gun community in this country has created and derived and contrived to go against the Second Amendment. And really, it's going to be kind of a fun little segment.
And in doing so, we're really just hoping to strip away some of the BS that you hear in the everyday talks about gun control, gun legislation, and as it pertains to the Second Amendment, and strip away a lot of the legalese and the jargon that confuses a lot of people when it comes to the Second Amendment and how it's worded.
Spoiler alert, it's actually really simple to understand the Second Amendment. And lastly, and this is where we're going to be spending most of our time, we just want to talk about the channel. We just shattered the unobtainable goal that I stupidly had set at some point this year, saying 2,000 subscribers by end of year. Never thought that was going to happen.
That was a pipe dream for the two of us.
For all of us. Steve was like, oh, I don't think that's going to happen. We just shattered it, and we just had the best day on the channel ever. We're just going to talk about the channel tonight and just talk about a little bit of the direction. We've got some new goals for 2024. We are not changing any goals for 2023. We have succeeded. All that and more right after our brand new, beautiful intro.
Before we get into it, we were just talking about the milestone that we hit, and in celebration of that, I believe you are cracking back open one of your favorite bottles of liquor tonight. So, is that what I think it is?
This is rum and Coke.
Oh, I can't see that.
No, I had a rum and Coke, and I was gonna do a tactical refill in a little bit with my Blanton's, but. Yes,
with the holy hand grenade of whiskeys.
The holy... Consult the Book of Armament!
And Matt, you introduced me to a new treat that didn't last very long in my house. So much so that I have already created my own batch. Actually, no. Scratch that. I've already created 2 batches of 7 quarts.
Was that how much it actually made? 7 quarts?
Yeah. So, this is a beautiful concoction, which I guess the recipe calls it apple pie moonshine, even though it's not real moonshine. It's just an amalgamation of liquors and other and it's apple cider and stuff. But its base is
cider and Everclear.
It's grain alcohol. Yeah,
really easy to make. It takes maybe, what would you say, 20 minutes?
Well, it takes 20 minutes of like actual creation, but it takes let's say about, depending on where you put it, takes about 3 to 4 hours to cool off.
The longer you let it sit before you sip it, the smoother it gets.
I will be tweeting out the recipe to this delicious liquid gold here in the next week or so, so that all of us can enjoy it, because that's not something I want to keep to ourselves.
Well, Aaron, I'm really glad you enjoy that apple pie, and I guess the rest of the X-verse, X Twitterverse, I don't freaking know, is going to be enjoying that soon. We'll get that up on the Phantom Llama's Den X page, and another reason to follow us over on X and Instagram. You know what, Aaron, let's get that up on Instagram too. So by the time this video has dropped, we will have that recipe up on X and Instagram. And on that note, tactical refill.
Hell yeah.
Better. All right, now that I have a refill on my bourbon, let's get into our one true topic tonight, and then we will talk about the channel. Okay, Second Amendment. It is twisted, it is convoluted, contorted, and new meanings are contrived almost daily by the gun-grabbing left. People that just want to do something to make ourselves feel safer. So we thought, instead of covering current events, why don't we just talk about what the Second Amendment actually says? I'll start out by just simply reading the Second Amendment in its 1791 glory. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. To me, there are three major components and three major takeaways. You can break this down far more, and Aaron kind of wants to do a grammatical breakdown as well here. So where should we start with this one, Aaron?
I say we break it down by bit first.
We're going to look at the first section here. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Well-regulated by the left is often taken to mean, well, there have to be regulations, there have to be all these rules, there have to be stipulations put in place to maintain the guns, to maintain people that own firearms. We have to regulate them. In 1791, when the Constitution was ratified, well-regulated meant well-maintained, able-bodied, meaning in terms of militia, the people had to be able to be effective with the arms that they had. So well-regulated here doesn't mean there have to be all these different rules or infringements or sanctions put on people that have firearms. They can only go here, here, or here, or here. They can only use this gun in this circumstance. They can only use the gun if they have first retreated into their home. No, a well-regulated anything was they just need to know what they're doing, which in today's world almost seems to translate into train, be healthy, be fit, both physically and in mind. So with that in mind, a well-regulated militia means a militia, an army of the people, consisting of the people. And Aaron, I know you wanted to talk about the militia here, but we have to keep in mind that well-regulated just refers to an able-bodied and well-trained, ready militia. So don't go twisting the words of the founding fathers by saying well-regulated just means we need lots of rules to control those guns or the people that own them.
And there's plenty of rules on the books already and laws, and it's not like we're not regulated. Even if people were saying that we need to be regulated, we're plenty regulated, trust me.
So Aaron, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what the militia is? Is it the National Guard?
No, and it's not the U.S. Navy, it's not the Army, it's not the Marine Corps, it's none of that.
Is it the Coast Guard then?
No, surprisingly, that's usually the first branch people think of when they think of the United States Armed Forces, but unfortunately, no, it's not the U.S. Coast Guard. Thank you to all the members of the U.S. Coast Guard and other branches who have served, but I meant no disrespect. If you look at the historical definition for the word militia in the United States, it says all able-bodied citizens eligible by law to be called on to provide military service supplementary to the regular armed forces. In this case, the term militia refers to all able-bodied citizens, period.
Able-bodied in the traditional historical text is just anybody that can fight. Anybody that can hold a gun, shoot a gun, is well-trained, is trainable.
When this document was written, if your village or your town, your city was being invaded by, not invaded, but being attacked by a local group next to you, the local governments could call on the citizens, all able-bodied citizens, to assist the military, if whether the military was present or not, in defending their city, their township, their village.
The Second Amendment says being necessary to the security of a free state. The state, capital S here, does not mean the state's government. You were talking about local government. Let's say that a state has become tyrannical, is taking away individuals' rights. Local government, meaning whether it's cities, counties, townships, neighborhoods. The capital S, state, means the people. It's not the government. That's the United States is for the people. It's not the government. It's the people.
The government and its military are subordinate to and governed by its civil power.
Fast forward to 2023, almost 2024, we now have elected governments ruling the people because we've forgotten that we have power. This is going off on a bit of a minor tangent here, but let's look at the state of Virginia. Got some wonderful people out there. Rex, looking at you, buddy. Just found out that the legislature there is working on an assault weapons ban and magazine ban. And it seems like they've forgotten what happened several years ago when they tried this the last time. They had 22,000 people show up with rifles on slings. Very well-armed people. There was one guy younger than me carrying around a Barrett 50 cal. What? But they all showed up. No one was injured. No one fought. It was a very, truly peaceful protest.
One might even say they were well regulated.
And all they were there for was to show that you don't have our support. You need to remember that you serve the people. That gun legislation died then and there. And here they are trying it again against law-abiding citizens. You do not rule us. We tell you what power you have. You get your power from the Constitution and the people. I'm talking to all of you in government, whether you are city, state, or federal.
I think we can use it's a very cliche saying that's used and probably overused, but it applies in this situation. We gave you that power, and we can just as easily take it away.
You can be elected out. Aaron, Thank you so much for just that breakdown on the militia. Let's get into the part that they say that we just focus too much upon. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Of course, this is my favorite part of the Second Amendment because this is the main idea, and grammatical Aaron can come out with a little more here in just a second. But I just want to say that this is an absolute. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It doesn't have any clauses built in that say, unless you have a gun that shoots 100 rounds a minute, it doesn't say that you can't have a trigger that if pulled once, it can unload an entire magazine. It doesn't say anything about caliber. It doesn't say anything about how destructive a round can be, if it can explode on impact, if it can light up the night sky on impact. It doesn't say anything about how many rounds you can have in your gun. It doesn't say anything about the caliber. It doesn't say how short the barrel can be. It doesn't even say anything on if you could put a stock on a pistol. The right of the people to keep and bear arms, which means weapons, shall not be infringed. Oh, Aaron is flexing.
People say stay away from absolutes, right? And generally, I would agree.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
And there you go. But you either have a right or you don't. That is why, people say, I have the right to free healthcare. No, you don't. That's not how that works. Just because you want something doesn't make it so that you have a right to it. Your rights are absolute. Okay, they are God breathed, God given, and inalienable. This is an absolute. You have the right to defend yourself, period.
Let me piggyback off of that for a second. Because it's all inclusive as arms, means you have the right to have the most effective weapon, tool to defend yourself. That's because America, our founding fathers, recognized that to truly declare the right of the people to defend themselves, they had to have access to the most effective tool. If you're going to say that you have a right to defend yourself, unless you want to use a long sword or a bow and arrow or a handgun or a rifle or a shotgun, you really aren't saying that a person has a full right to defend their own lives or the lives of those around them.
Especially if that threat is a tyrannical government.
And that brings us all the way back to the first half of this bit, a free state. This isn't just meant for exterior threats. This isn't just meant for self-defense, a home invasion situation, or a robbery in a store you may be running. The Second Amendment is there because our founding fathers had just gotten out of a revolutionary war against a tyrannical government. They never wanted the people to be ruled again.
Our founding fathers would be rolling in their graves. So the last thing I want to bring up is people get caught up in the way the entirety of the amendment is structured. I'm going to read it word for word, punctuation by punctuation. A well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. Best thing you can do to understand a sentence when you are confused is to strip away all the qualifiers, all of the interrupting clauses, the qualifying clauses, and just get to the meat and potatoes of whatever that sentence is truly trying to say. The subject of this sentence is the phrase, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That is the basic premise of this whole clause, this whole statement. I'm going to kind of rephrase the first bit of the amendment to make it clearer to understand. I'm going to change it into two sentences. A well-regulated militia is necessary to the security of a free state, period. There's our first sentence, which leaves our second sentence that says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I hope that clarifies the way that it was written in a way that makes sense to the way we speak now. I'm not trying to interpret it myself. I'm not trying to twist it to fit my ideologue of what the Second Amendment is supposed to mean. All I'm trying to do is change it into a vernacular.
I just told the Bing assistant to rewrite the Second Amendment from in the tone of a Gen Zer.
I'm imagining, this is going to be awful.
I have not read this, so Lord help me. Yo, listen up. So, back in the day when the country was still new and fresh, we had to make sure that people could protect themselves and their homes. That's why we came up with the Second Amendment, which basically says that people have the right to own guns and use them for self-defense. But, we got to make sure that people don't go around shooting each other for no reason, So we got to be responsible and make sure we use our guns wisely and safely. Peace out. Honestly, that's not as bad as I thought it would be.
No, but boy, do they try to put an agenda in there, just sneak in.
Anytime we hear responsible or reasonable,
Right.
our blood pressure goes up a little bit. But that last sentence, so we gotta be responsible and make sure that we use our guns wisely and safely. That's well regulated. A person that is well regulated uses their guns responsibly.
You're not wrong.
It's not that isn't a terrible.
What I hear is somebody trying to take an absolute right and say, but it's like no. No, there's no but. It's just we get them. We get to have them. We get to defend ourselves. Like that's how it works.
So I know that we spent a lot of time there, honestly, a little more than I thought we would, on one simple absolute sentence. Before we get on to the main topic, which is just us talking in general about the channel and some huge progress we've made and some of the directions we're going to be taking here. Aaron, before we started recording, did you say you actually had a Ricochet round question for me?
Yeah, so I did come up with a Ricochet round.
Okay.
It took some time. And it's going to be a very vague and tangentially related question when it comes to like guns and self-defense. But and this is a thing that's come up because, especially in my area, I don't know about yours, but we've had this just epidemic of juvenile crime. And it's blown me away how bad it's gotten. The just overall disrespect for law and order.
I'm very worried about where this question might go.
It's not going to be as bad as you think. My question is, at what age do we start to hold children accountable for their actions, and how do you decide what that age is? I want to talk about the legal aspect of at what age do we hold children legally accountable for their actions, and how do you decide that outside of just some district attorney setting some arbitrary age for when children are able to be charged?
It depends on the offense. I think any case of wrongdoing has to be evaluated in minors on a per case to case basis. Now, if we're talking about violent crime, I'm going to be far more likely to err on the side of punishment, even for a minor. Aaron, I don't have an answer for this. This was a terrible question to ask me.
I think this is the first time I've caught you unawares.
You cheated.
For once, I have, I believe, a much simpler answer than you do, which doesn't usually happen. I think in terms of whether or not a child should be, or a juvenile should be charged with the possibility of being tried and or convicted of a crime, I think intent is 9/10 of that decision, to be honest with you.
I agree.
And I think that's where my argument ends.
I agree with that. Good question. Aaron, next month, so for the month of January, I am making you do another Ricochet round because you cheated today, because this was not gun related.
Today's last segment, which I think you and I probably expected to spend the majority of our time talking about, I want to title this portion of today's Bullet Points episode, Thank You. You and I and all of our den members and all of our wonderful subscribers, supporters, family, and friends have shattered our pipe dream of a goal to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. The show of support in the last 24 hours alone,
at time of recording,
has blown my mind. We could not have done this without you and your support of us.
This past week, we had an absolute explosion on the channel. And this isn't a shameless plug for my other videos or our past videos or anything. And this isn't a shameless plug for any kind of company here, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank again Night Fox. Night Fox, the night vision device company based out of Bristol, UK. Irony of ironies here. Strong 2A community channel getting pushed over the top by the former British tyrants across the pond. Now, I've alluded to something awesome happening with the channel if we hit 2,000 subscribers. Today, I paid for one of my other dream guns. I got the civilian version of one of the most beautiful but weird modern firearms I know of, that being the P90. More correctly, the civilian PS90. Anybody familiar with the P90 or the PS90? Most of you probably know it, unfortunately, from Call of Duty, especially if you use the Akimbo perk, where you dual wielded them.
How does that go again?
Me, along with many other true sci-fi nerds, know it because of Stargate SG-1. I have a friend in South Dakota that owns one. I did not know that he owned one, and I did not know that he had brought it to our range day. The moment he pulled that out of a gun bag and let me shoot that, I fell in love with this gun, and I knew someday I would own one. I will do a showcase of it at the end of the month here as our monthly gun review in its true civilian form, but I will also be doing a follow-up a little down the road once my Form 1 has been approved by the ATF so I can SBR it. But I am very excited to share this gun with you all on the channel, with everyone that's involved in the production at the Phantom Llama's Den. Aaron, I know that you also really like the PS90.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just one aspect of what's to come with the channel. That's just one thing that's changing now that we've hit 2,000 subscribers. And the keen among you may have noticed something change with my counterpart's camera here. We have technology issues here on the channel, and that's okay. His main camera just died, so now he's using his more potato webcam.
Yeah, this is my dog water camera, so I apologize. If my frame rate is lower and I look like a potato, it's because I had to revert to some older technology. But we make do with what we have. But we don't always have to make do with what we have, because the more of you that support us, the more we can create high quality, high definition content.
You're not getting the first new camera that comes out of our ad revenue. So, next year's goal for 2024, we have two goals. Our realistic goal is 4,000 subscribers by end of 2024. So, doubling the subscriber count as of now, rounding down to the nearest thousands. Our pipe dream goal is 10,000 subscribers. I mathed it very simplistically. On December 31st, 2022, we had 453 subscribers. We have almost quintupled it by the time this video has aired. So, 2,000 quintupled would be 10,000. That said, 8,000 subscribers is a lot in a year.
Yeah, I estimated 20 a day based off of the amount of time left this year plus next year.
The conservative, realistic goal for end of 2024 is 4,000. We'll do something big when we hit that. And I do mean when, because I fully expect us to shatter 4,000. But if we somehow crack 10,000, we'll do something awesome. God help me if we crack 20, 30, 40, 50,000. I tell you what, this might be the alcohol talking.
Here we go.
If we hit 100 1,000 subscribers.
Seriously though, to all of our subscribers, from Potato Aaron on a crappy camera, thank you to all of you. Thank you for your support for the Phantom Llama's Den. I hope you continue to stick around and watch our content. We have big plans, things that we conceived in our brains months prior that we haven't even begun to get going, that we want to be able to provide for our subscribers, for the people that are getting involved with the channel.
And the support that you all have given us is helping, whether you realize it or not, is helping us realize those goals. Thank you so ever much to everyone who has subscribed, who watches, who comments, who likes. Thank you so much, because you are making this pipe dream come true. On that note, I think we're going to call it quits. I have put back plenty of bourbon tonight. I am feeling it, and I have to work early in the morning. For our last shot, and it might seem a little ironic given my own physical stature, get to the gym, work out. No matter how much I might train to be able to shoot accurately and quickly, if I can't run up a flight of stairs, I'm gonna be screwed if the shit hits the fan. If the defecation hits the oscillation, I am going to be toast. All I am going to be is a really nice loot drop to somebody else. Training isn't just training with the firearm at the gun range. You need to train your body, and this ties back into beautifully the first part of the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia. You have to be able to run. You have to be able to lift. If your cardio sucks, you're gonna die. If you can't lift a couple 100 pounds, you're likely gonna die in a really bad situation. Be in the best physical shape that you can attain. I've only lost about 15 pounds, but I've lost about 4 inches in my waist. I just actually had to get measured for a wedding suit, and I've lost 4 inches, even though I've only lost about 10, 15 pounds. I didn't actually notice a difference until I did that little Halloween special back a little bit ago, when I had a compilation of all the footage over the last year. And that was when it hit me like, oh, I really have lost weight. I've really gotten in a lot better shape. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but I'm getting a lot closer.
Whether it's solely to view yourself in a more healthy manner, or to increase your chances of survival in God forbid, some sort of critical incident, it never hurts to get into better shape.
That's going to do it for this installment of Bullet Points, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that bell icon to get notifications on future content. Go follow us on X and Instagram. And as always, don't take life too seriously.
And make it a great day.